Yes, yes,
Yes, sir.
you're audible.
Yes.
Okay, sir, we will start our class. Let students should join. Okay,
Uh,
so
uh,
I welcome to Dr. Prafulla Jena. He is a very academic counselor, senior academic counselor. No doubt, today is a Raja Sankranti. Might be our students are busy with celebration. So anyway, I mean, student may join in the latter part. So we'll start our today's session. Today is MSOE for paper is urban sociology. So I request sir and I welcome sir to today's session. So now I hand over the session to sir. Sir, you can start your presentation, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Parindra sir, for your welcome address. And now I start class. So today class is welcome to learners. Learners, welcome to the class on urban sociology, MSOE 4. So today's topic is urban sociology. So before entering into the class, we must know what is urban sociology. It requires a conceptual clarity that what is urban sociology. So if you give a look towards the word, that is a combination of two words, that is urban and sociology.
Sir, you can use both the language. Odia also you can use, sir.
Yes. So urban sociology by Sahar Samaj Vigyano. So the term urban and sociology. So meaning of sociology is clear to all of you. So now the term urban or urbane seems to be the synonymous in meaning. So both the term urban and urbane is derived from the Latin word urbanus, the urbs, meaning belonging to a city. So the term urbane borrowed first from the old French term urbain, and accordingly urban convey the meaning of being specialized, refined, polite, or elegant. So these may be considered as the characteristics of urban. So subsequently, the term urban was used, which borrowed directly from the Latin word urbanus. And urban by Sahara refers to a city or a town which is just opposite to village. ତେଣୁ ସହରଟା ହେଉଛି ଠିକ ଗ୍ରାମର just opposite to village. So a resident of village is known as a fop, whereas a resident of a city is known as urbanite. So sociology means it is a scientific study of society. So accordingly, urban sociology means a scientific study of urban society, urban social structure, urban social relationship, and urban social changes in urban social structure and functions. So let us now understand how the urban sociology come into being. That is the origin or uh, emergency of the term urban. The cities, if you go to the annals of history, we found the cities appeared some 10,000 years ago. But the scientific interest in the city in only few hundred years back. And the science of urban sociology is still more recent in origin. It was only developed in United States of America only during 17th century, when the city has become an object of scientific inquiry and research by the academicians. So probably the first book about the city was written by an Italian scholar named Giovanni Botero, which appeared in 1598 AD. So that is considered as the first book on urban sociology. So its English version was published in 1806 under the title A Treatise Concerning the Causes of the Magnificence of the Greatness of Cities. So later on, statisticians, demographers, economists, historians, administrators, architects, planners, social reformers became interested in city and enormous literature was produced on urban sociology. A few basic a few basic city problems have been studied and investigated by pioneers like Grant, Ravenstein, Mayer, Hart, but none of their works is truly urban sociology. That is related to urban social problems. Even after sociology has established itself as a new branch of science, its students took rare interest in urban phenomena. However, the first monograph written on the city was by a sociologist, René Maury, published in 1910, where the author approached the subject as an economist. René Maury tried to explain urban sociology from the economic angles. However, there are three early sociological classics on the city. These are George Simmel's Metropolis and Mental Life, published in 1903. Then second was Max Weber's the famous book The City, which was published in 1921. Then R. Maury's Le Village et la Ville, which was published in 1929. So these are considered as the three important classics by this on written on city, that is urban sociology. So according to Husserman and Helia and George Simmel was the first scientist to deserve the title of an urban sociologist. George Simmel was considered as the first urban sociologist, according to the opinion given by Husserman and Helia, because Simmel provided a sociological definition of the term urban and analyzed the interaction between spatial density, social behavior, and economic differentiation. But the real impetus came from Robert Park for urban sociology. His famous article, The City, was published in the American Journal of Sociology in 1915, heralded the coming of a new era, but it received very little attention because during that period, that urban sociology do not draw the attention of an academician in United States. However, in USA, urban sociology got its recognition in 1925 when the American Sociological Society devoted an annual meeting to urban sociology. And the paper in that meeting was published by E.W. Burgess under the title The Urban Community. Prior to this volume, Burgess McZenny has published a volume named The City in 1925. These two works laid the foundation of the subject urban sociology. Students of Park and Burgess later on at the University of Chicago established the Chicago School of Urban Sociology. So that was the first official entitlement in the Chicago University as available to urban sociology. So Professor Patrick Geddes, who established first department of sociology at the University of Bombay, had made diagnostic treatment and surveys of some more than 50 Indian urban cities. 50 ରୁ ଅଧିକ ଭାରତୀୟ ସିଟି ଉପରେ ସେ ଗୋଟେ ସର୍ଭେ କଲେ ପେଟ୍ରିକ୍ ଗେଡେସ୍, ଯିଏକି ଭାରତର ପ୍ରଥମ ସୋସିଓଲୋଜି ର ପ୍ରଫେସର ଥିଲେ ବମ୍ବେ ୟୁନିଭର୍ସିଟିର ଡିପାର୍ଟମେଣ୍ଟ ସୋସିଓଲୋଜି ର ପ୍ରଥମ ପଢିଲା. It was published this made a survey on 50 Indian cities during the decade that is 1914 to 1924 and brought about 2 volumes of town planning towards city development for Indore in 1918. But this could not lay the foundation of subject in India. The field of urban sociology remained unheard in Indian universities till 1960. So urban sociology भारत रे 1960 पर्यंत भारत रे प्रायतः कौनसी प्रकार acceptance का ग्रहणीयता लाभ करना था. So this is how sociology come into being, urban sociology come into being in USA, and it was first established in USA in 1925, and Chicago School of Urban Sociology was the first department on urban sociology. Then let us know what is the dimension or scope of this subject. The famous sociologist Louis Ritz said on our subject matter scope of sociology is that according to Ritz, that the scope of sociology, urban sociology, is very complex and complicated. Similarly, Erickson says urban sociology is a generalizing science, just like a sociology. So, but the practical aim of urban sociology is to search out the determinants and consequences of diverse forms of social behavior found in city. So basically, urban sociology ବା ସହର ସମାଜ ବିଜ୍ଞାନ ସାମାଜିକ behavior ସିଟି ବା ସହରରେ ଦେଖାଯାଉଥିବା ସମସ୍ତ ପ୍ରକାର ସାମାଜିକ ବିହେଭିୟରର ଫଳାଫଳ ଏବଂ ତାର ଡିଟରମିନାଣ୍ଟସ୍ ସେ ସାମାଜିକ ଚରିତ୍ରକୁ କିଏ କିଏ ଡିଟରମିନ୍ କରେ ସେ ସବୁକୁ ସମାଜ urban sociology ବା ସହର ସମାଜ ବିଜ୍ଞାନ ଅଧ୍ୟୟନ କରେ. So urban sociology deals with the impact of city life on social action. सामाजिक क्रिया of human being ର ସାମାଜିକ କ୍ରିୟା ଉପରେ ତାର କ'ଣ ପ୍ରଭାବ ରହୁଛି? What are the impact of social action, social relationship, ତାର ସାମାଜିକ ସମ୍ପର୍କ ଉପରେ କ'ଣ ପ୍ରଭାବ ରହୁଛି? Social institution, what is its impact on ସାମାଜିକ ବିଭିନ୍ନ ପ୍ରକାର ସାମାଜିକ ଅନୁଷ୍ଠାନ ଉପରେ କ'ଣ impact ରହୁଛି? And the type of civilization ଉପରେ ମଧ୍ୟ କ'ଣ ପ୍ରଭାବ ରହୁଛି that it studies. So all these are based on urban modes of living. What are the urban modes of living? And what are the changes made in urban modes of living that has been governed by this urban sociology? Besides, urban sociology also studies the composition of human elements. Composition of human elements. What are the composition of human elements of city? City, the human elements, how it is composed of that may be include age, sex, vayasa, linga, vritti, dharma, income. All these are the considered as the human elements that composition of human elements in a city. So urban sociology studies all these components that come under this. Besides, the scope of urban sociology also includes the spatial distribution of social institutions and social groups within the city. The social groups, all the social groups and social institutions that was available in a city are also being studied by under the scope of urban sociology. Besides, urban sociology is one in its broadest sense, and it is a wider, its scope is very wider, complex and complicated, and its scope is more eclectic of all sociological fields. Its scope includes urban community, urban ecology, urbanization, industrialization, urban social problems, crime, and all these are come under the scope of urban sociology. So am I clear now about the scope of sociology, urban sociology? So urban sociology scope is very wide and comprehensive. It includes all kinds of changes in urban. What are the changes that is going on in urban social life, urban lifestyle of peoples, the personality structure, the social institution, the new social institution, the changes in existing social institution. All these are come under this scope of urban sociology. So that's why the scope of urban sociology is very wide and complex. It also includes the all different kinds of laws that has been framed in urban centers to bring modification in the behavioral patterns of the urbanites. So all these laws that governs urban city life in a particular city that also come being studied by urban sociology. So then let us now study the approaches to the study of urban sociology. What are the different approaches that we can study urban sociology? So due to the complex nature of urban sociology, it needs to be approached from several directions. As while during the analyzing the scope of sociology, urban sociology, we are referring that the scope of urban sociology is very wide and comprehensive. So due to this complex nature of urban sociology, it needs to be approached from several directions. It needs to be approached from several directions, such as city, civilization, physical mechanism, ecological aspect, social organization, social problems perspective. So these are the different perspectives from which we can approach to the study of urban sociology. The first approach is city and civilization approach, or city or civilization perspective. So this under this approach, that is city and civilization perspective or approach, we are concerned with the relationship between city and civilization. Concerned the relationship between city and civilization. So cities have been seen in the wider context of the history of civilization by many scholars like Botero, Spengler, Toynbee, Patrick Geddes, G.S. Gure, Robert Mumford, and Reith. So these are the scholars who have analyzed the relationship between the city and from the angle of city and civilization perspectives. So Botero sought more specific causes and conditions for the growth of cities in different civilizations. So Botero studied the causes and conditions of the growth of cities, how the cities, what are the causes that led to the growth of cities, and what are the conditions that led to the growth of cities in different civilizations. Maybe in Indus Valley civilization, maybe Greek civilization, and what are the causes and what are the conditions that led to the growth of cities in these different civilizations are being studied by Botero. Similarly, Spengler and Toynbee, Arnold Toynbee, an historian, and Spengler, a sociologist, try to study the history in terms of city history. They, Spengler and Toynbee, analyze the historical development of cities, how city come into existence in the historical development, in the process of historical development. So they have analyzed, considered the history of city. सहर इतिहास को से पर्यालोचना कले स्पेंगलर और टॉयनबी. Similarly, Patrick Geddes viewed city as a mirror of civilization. Patrick Geddes से अनुमान करुले से विचार करती जे सहर होची सभ्यतार एक मिरर बा गोटे दर्पण. Patrick Geddes से तांका पर्सपेक्टिव आलोचना कले. Similarly, Mumford and G.S. Gure, Robert Mumford, another sociologist, and G.S. Gure, an Indian sociologist, they elaborated this idea in different historical contexts, different historical countries. By analyzing the histories of different countries, they try to analyze the development of city. Then Reith, another sociologist, Reith, maintained that the history of civilization should be written in terms of the history of cities. Reith कहउचंदी जे सहरर इतिहास होची सभ्यतार इतिहास. Whatever, even if we take the example of Indus Valley civilization, so Indus Valley civilization has the known for its own traditional cities. So similarly, Reith maintained the history of civilization should be written in terms of history of cities, and the city was the symbol of civilization. In every civilization, there is a mentioning of different kind of cities. It might be in Greek or Indus Valley civilization or all these civilizations. So that's why both these scholars, they also try to study history of civilizations, which is written in terms of history of cities. So then Robert Redfield and his colleagues developed a different perspective in the study of cities. Another perspective is developed by Robert Redfield and his colleagues by constructing a typology of city and working out its organizational and functional aspects. So Robert Redfield and his colleagues, Robert Redfield and tankar colleague, developed a different perspective in study of cities. सहर को अध्ययन करिबारे से गोटे डिफरेंट दृष्टिकोण नेले. केमती ना बाय कंस्ट्रक्टिंग ए टाइपोलॉजी ऑफ सिटी से सिटी रो बा शहर रो गोटे प्रकार टाइपोलॉजी ऑफ सिटी की प्रकार शहर सब देखा जाई पारे तार गोटे टाइपोलॉजी प्रस्तुत कले एंड अकॉर्डिंगली वर्किंग आउट एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल एंड फंक्शनल एस्पेक्ट से शहर रो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन सांगठनिक प्रकार कोन आउ तार प्रकारजात्मक प्रकार कोन व्हाट इज द organization of the city, what are the functions that city are performing, ये दुईटा को सूचना करिया को चेष्टा करें. So distinguishing between orthogenic and heterogenic process, they argue that primary organization consists in the transformation of little tradition into great tradition, and secondary organization includes the element of freedom from tradition. You know, he distinguishes both this scholar Robert Redfield and his colleagues distinguishes से गोटे पार्थक्य ऑर्थोजेनिक प्रोसेस और हेटेरोजेनिक प्रोसेस भितर गोटे पार्थक्य कले एवं आर्ग्यूड कले द प्राइमरी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कंसिस्ट इन द ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन लिटिल ट्रेडिशन टू ग्रेट ट्रेडिशन. तो सीक्रेट लिटिल ट्रेडिशन जो क्षुद्र परंपरा रु बृहत परंपरा जो ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन दैट वाज बीइंग एनालाइज्ड बाय दिस रॉबर्ट रेडफील्ड एंड हिज कॉलीग्स. And in the process of secondary organization they introduced the elements of freedom from tradition. When urbanization became secondary stage, reached at the secondary stage, so they remark the elements of freedom from tradition. So tradition no mukta hochi, the cities are becoming free from the traditions, old traditions. So then the third perspective is the ecological perspective or physical mechanism perspective. So this ecology of urbanism, ecological perspective means ecology of urbanism. So it is a concern with the city as a physical object composed of street. City taku madhya ame gote physical object hisab nahi pare. So what we city by we means a road, street, buildings, different facilities for communication, transportation, and a complex technical know-how available in cities. So by city, this ecological perspective consider that it is the ecology of urbanism. That facilities, these are the consider the different things, that physical object. So city, it considers city as a physical object. सहर होची गोटे ए सब शारीरिक बा दैहिक लक्षण गुड़िक भितर कौन कौन सब ना सेगुड़ा भितर रास्ता, the roads, the buildings, the facilities for communication, transportation, technical devices through which an area is transferred from into a human community. By this process, the city has been mere transferred into a human community. So these are the physical features of the city. Besides these physical features, the city are turned into a human community. एक मानवीय समुदाय रे परिणत होची. Only mere physical feature alone city बोली कहि परिबो नै. When along with these physical features, when a human turn into a human community by the process of interaction, the people living within these physical areas. So the ecological dimension embraces those physical, spatial, and material aspects of urban life. ये जो physical dimension perspective अनुसारे that the ecological dimension रहिला that embraces physical, spatial, material aspect of urban life और शहरी जीवन रो समस्त प्रकार शारीरिक भौतिक दिग को यह अंतर्भुक्त करे. And particularly it includes the area of city inhabited by occupational group, caste groups, tribal groups. All these are come under this. Then the next perspective is considered as social organization perspective. Social organization perspective deals with basically the basic forms of urban life that have evolved as a direct result of urbanization. So this perspective is concerned with the basic forms of urban life. शहरी जीवन रो मौलिक प्रकार गुड़िक जहाँकि अर्बानाइजेशन जो सृष्टि है शहरीकरण प्रक्रिया जो जो शहर जीवन रो जो मौलिक प्रकार सब आसिला एटा ताहाकु आलोचना करछि पर्सपेक्टिव आलोचना करछि सेटा. The social organization of the modern urban community can be said to include ये जो शहर समुदाय रो जो सामाजिक संगठन रहिला सेटा का सब इनक्लूड करूची ना ए ह्यूज कॉम्प्लेक्स नेटवर्क ऑफ इंडिविजुअल्स गोटे इंडिविजुअल व्यक्ति मानकर केते गोटे नेटवर्क को अंतर्भुक्त करूची ग्रुप विभिन्न समूह मानकर नेटवर्क को अंतर्भुक्त करूची केतक ब्यूरोक्रेटिक स्ट्रक्चर केतक अमलातांत्रिक संरचना को अंतर्भुक्त करुच्ची एवं सामाजिक अनुष्ठान केते गुडे सामाजिक अनुष्ठान को इंक्लूड करुच्ची. So these are the different kinds of institutions that come under the urban social organization. सहरी सामाजिक संगठन भितर एगुड़ा को सब अंतर्भुक्त कर. इंडिविजुअल को हाउ दिस इंक्लूड इंडिविजुअल the urban individuals आमे केमती how can you distinguish a urban individual and a village individual. गोटे सहरी व्यक्ति आ गोटे ग्रामर व्यक्ति आमे केमती फरक जान. the urban व्यक्ति जनक can best be described in terms of pattern of personality organization. व्यक्तित्व संगठन इंडिविजुअल लाइफस्टाइल ड्रेस स्टाइल ए सबुरे आमे गोटे व्यक्ति को गोटे सहरी व्यक्ति आ गोटे गाँ भितर गोटे फरक जान परिया. एंड एगुड़ा सब केमती जन व्यक्ति गोटे सहर व्यक्ति केमती सब टाइप आहरण करिछि बिहेवियर बा पर्सनालिटी व्यक्तित्व आहरण करिछि बा ई प्रकार निर्दिष्ट डेस्क्राइब ड्रेस पिंदुछि निर्दिष्ट प्रकार शैली रे कथा कहउछि. ऑल दीज आर रेस्पॉन्स टू द कंडीशन ऑफ अर्बन लाइफ. जेतु से अर्बन लाइफ को एक्सपोजर होछि अकॉर्डिंगली तार बिहेवियर पैटर्न रे चेंज होछि तार ड्रेस स्टाइल चेंज होछि तार पर्सनालिटी स्ट्रक्चर रे चेंज होछि. So this is how this perspective analyzes how individuals are in an urban social setup can be understood. So city produced a city by urban area by a sahara because distinct personality and behavioral characteristics सृष्टि करे. प्रत्येक सहर यार सदस्य मानक भितरे बा यार एथिरे बास करूथा लोक मानक भितरे गोटे स्वतंत्र प्रकार सहर गोटे चरित्र बा व्यक्तित्व प्रदान करे. that set urbanites apart from their rural counterparts. तेणु ये जो कैरेक्टर से माने बा चरित्र आहरण करती ताही से माननकु एक ग्राम्य व्यक्ति ठारू फरक परिଥାଏ. Then come to the groups. So group is another constituent of the urban social structure, the primary social groups. So in urban society you find very small intimate space to group like family, couples, neighborhood. These are as we found in village. जेमते गाँव रे आमे सब सामाजिक समूह को पाऊ सहर रे मध्य से सब समूह को पाऊ परिवार कपल बा दंपति बा पड़ोसी. किंतु some scholars believe that these groups are destroyed in urban centers. जो परिवार दंपति बा पड़ोसी आमे गाँव रे देखुतले सेही तीनटा इंस्टीट्यूशन सहर रे अछि किंतु सेटा सहर रे नष्ट हो गई डेस्ट्रॉयड होई आ गोटे नुआ फॉर्म रे सृष्टि. It has created a new form. Yet these primary groups have remained viable part of urban social life. These are destroyed urban रे ए जो परिवार दंपति आ जो पड़ोसी हम देखुचे गाँ रे मध्य सेटा अछि किंतु गाँ रो आ शहर रो ए तीनटा नेचर मध्य रे गोटे फरक अछि. ए जो दिस but however these three social institutions or social groups like family, couples and neighborhoods are remain viable part of urban social organization. They appears to be necessary carryovers from rural societies. Ita rural society to गाँव society को आसीची, but after arrival at urban centers it has taken new form by destroying the old form. That is what the author tried to say. So such changes remain a focal point of contemporary urban social research. ये जो चेंज हो, ये जो तीनटा इंस्टीट्यूशन में परिवार, सामाजिक समूह और पड़ोसी एमानक भितर जो परिवर्तन हैला एटा कैरी ओवर हेछि कोटो गाँरु शहर को किंतु से जो कैरी ओवर भितर एट अनेक परिवर्तन हेछि से जो चेंजेस होछि दैट बिकेम द मेन एस्पेक्ट ऑफ अर्बन सोशियोलॉजिकल रिसर्च. तेणु शहरी समाज रो जो गवेषणा करा जो सेटा दैट इज द मेन सब्जेक्ट ऑफ अर्बन सोशियोलॉजिकल रिसर्च. Such changes remain a focal point of this urban sociology. Similarly, urban neighborhoods are also significant in providing social bonds and order in urban life. They are more formal and internally differentiated. This neighborhood in urban society is more formal, औपचारिक दृष्टि सेठी अनौपचारिकता न थाए जैसे बेसी औपचारिकता, but still they form the social bonds in urban society. The urban neighbor, though it is said that a city dweller do not know his next door neighbors, but however, there is bonds in neighborhood bond in urban society, but in a differentiated form. Then come to another, the next point, that is the bureaucratic structure. The bureaucratic structure is an important part of a urban life, that most large scale and complex government and industrial organizations in the modern world can be characterized as bureaucratic structure. The governmental complex governing structure by industrial शिल्प संघ गुड़ा शिल्प संगठन गुड़ाक सेगुड़ा सब आम ब्यूरोक्रेटिक स्ट्रक्चर भाव सहर में देखिपर can view this industrial organization जो structure of industrial organization urban city can be considered as the bureaucratic structure for urban society. This consists of elaborate network of specialized roles and position organized into a hierarchical division of labor. These social structures or bureaucratic structure work or perform a specialized roles in urban society. Then social institution. These social institutions are the largest and most abstract modes of social organization. Social institutions exist in abstract form and within the urban community. Social institutions consist widely accepted patterns of behavior and expectations that evolve or are created as a long-term solution to the recognized needs of a community. These social institutions are created out of the needs of the community. The urban society by urban society जो need, out of that need, that social institution created in urban society, and they provide solution to the needs of this urbanites, urban people. Although their forms and functions have changed drastically as a result of urbanization, jadeo these social institutions that are existing today in urban society are drastically changing due to urbanization. As the urbanization moves become complex and complicated, so similar the nature of the social institutions also become complex and complicated. So then come to the next perspective, that is the social problem perspective. Social problem perspective, it is the way to study the contemporary urban social problems, because all the contemporary urban social problem has been associated with the process of urbanization. The problems that are being created in urban society are due to the urbanization process. These problems are created as the urbanization process became complex and complicated, and new and newer kinds of problems are being created in urban society. And these problems may be set of problems that urban societies we found in maybe crime, mental illness, broken family, drug addiction, pollution, poverty, corruption, unemployment. All these are newly crop up urban problems, and urban society can also be analyzed from this perspective, from problem perspective. If we understand the problems, is a urban center is known by its problem. We can understand a urban society by studying its problems, the nature of its problem, the complexity of the density of the problems can be given identification of the urban type of urban society that we have. So this social problem perspective also help us to understand, is another approach of studying the urban society. सहर को अनुधान करिवार आ गोटे उपाय होची सोशल प्रॉब्लम पर्सपेक्टिव, सामाजिक समस्या भित्तिक दृष्टिकोण. आम सामाजिक समस्या दृष्टिकोण को एनालाइज करिबा, विश्लेषण करी आम गोटे सहर को बुझी पारिबा. यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड ए city or town by understanding its problem. So now perhaps we have little bit clear about the scope, different approaches, the meaning of urban sociology. Now let us discuss the relationship between urban sociology with other social sciences. As you know, that sociology is the mother of all social sciences, and it includes all other social sciences within its purview. So being the branch of sociology, urban sociology being a branch of sociology, sociology is a branch, urban sociology has also a clear-cut relationship with all the other social sciences. And besides, urban sociology as a new branch of knowledge are being initially being studied by demographer, geographer, statisticians, economists. These are the subject from which contribute a lot towards the development of urban sociology. So that's why urban sociology had a very close relationship with other social sciences. So on the different stages of development of urban society, new branch of knowledge is associated with urban sociology, just like ecology or environment science or ecology you may say. So these are the newer sciences. When urban city became more polluted, so these environmental science come to studies the nature of urban environment. So that's why urban sociology naturally being tied up with environmental science. So there is a relationship, close relationship between sociology and other social sciences. As urban sociology's main focus is human beings, groups, and social institutions, it differs from other social sciences because its main focus remains social structure and culture of urban society. Structure and of urban society. So that is so urban sociology has a close relationship with all these social sciences. That is, you can say. So urban sociology has also relationship with economics. Urban sociology has a relationship with economics. Because economy is urban, because there are different urban problems like poverty, unemployment. So these are the problems are also being dealt with by economics. So urban planning, urban income, all these urban taxation system, all these are being dealt with by economics. So there is a close relationship between urban sociology and economics. Similarly, history, because in while studying with historical perspective of Toynbee and Spengler, they have analyzed city from the development of civilization is the development of history of cities. So every city has its own history, and so historical urban sociology has a close relationship with history. Similarly, it has its relationship with political science because political science, every municipalities, in every urban centers, we have a municipality or a NAC or like that administrative structure. So these administrative patterns, how these urban centers or city are being will be administered, that are all also being studied by urban sociology. So that's why there is a close relationship between history, political science, economics, sociology, and environmental science also has a close relationship with urban sociology. Then there are certain urbanization को we can define in a different sense. There is another concept that is urbanism. Urbanism means is urban way of life. सहरीवाद कहले आमे अर्बन वे ऑफ लाइफ बा सहरी जीवन शैली को आमे अर्बानिज्म बोली कहि जाऊ. Urbanism, it is a new socio-economic phenomena. Urbanism is a new socio-economic phenomena, which means a urban way of life. The way the urbanized spend their life is considered as the process is known as urbanism. Then urban growth, a concept must be cleared about. Urban growth by mean it refers to an increase in urban population as well as increase in number of towns and cities in urban areas. So urban growth means increasing number of population in any urban area, or are there increasing number of cities or towns in a urban city. But what is the how can consider that urbanization? Lipper says urbanization is a narrow sense, refers to urban growth and increased importance of towns and cities in society. Urbanization in a broad sense refers to a many-sided socio-economic process. गोटे न्यारो सेन्स रे बा संकीर्ण अर्थ रे शहरीकरण को गोटे अर्बन ग्रोथ बा शहरी विकास दृष्टि देखि परिबा एवं इंपोर्टेंस ऑफ टाउन्स एंड सिटीज इन सोसाइटी समाज रे जो शहरी बा शहर रो जो गुरुत्व बढ़ुची से दृष्टि मध्ये आमे कहि परिबा अर्बनाइजेशन को बुझी परिबा आमे अर्बनाइजेशन गोटे विभिन्न सेन्स रे बुझिबा डेमोग्राफिक सेन्स रे मध्ये आमे अर्बनाइजेशन बा शहरीकरण को बुझी परिबा इन डेमोग्राफिक सेन्स बा जनसांख्यिक दृष्टिकोणरू शहरीकरण कहले आमे indicate करूची increase in proportion of urban population to the total population सामुदायिक जनसंख्या तुलना रे शहरी जनसंख्या रो वृद्धि को आमे अर्बनाइजेशन वृद्धि मध्ये कहि पारु गोटे निर्दिष्ट समय व्यवधान एक निर्दिष्ट समय व्यवधान ड्यूरिंग a specific period of time the increase in proportion of urban population to the total population is known as urbanization in a, that is the demographic का जनसंख्यिक शहरीकरण जनसांख्यिक दृष्टि अर्थ देन अनदर ब्रेजियन बोले जने सोशियोलॉजिस्ट ब्रेजियन who opines urbanization is a complex social process urbanization होची गोटे social process कहले that is going on continue something that is going on continuing so urbanization is a complex social process accompanied by emergency of a specific way of life urbanization सहित सबले गोटे न्यू वे ऑफ लाइफ जड़ित associated with always a new specific way of life which turns the cities into the prevalent form of organization of the social activity. So urbanization that's why implies a number of things. It implies a nature of people's activities. It changes in nature of people's activities. It also refers to changes in the ratio of population engaged in agricultural activities. Agricultural activities ratio of population engaged in change of industrial occupation को that is also a change. Urbanization implies करे. It also implies the population distribution according to types of settlements. Different types of settlement भितरे केमती population change होची सेटा को मध्य एटा include करे. Population concentration. It implies in the population concentration. गोटे निर्दिष्ट जगह रे शहर रो गोटे जगह अछि जोटी population concentration is more in comparison to other areas. That also refers to the process of urbanization भितरे सेटा population concentration. In shaping urban way of life. Shaping of the urban way of life. Urban way of life को shape करिवार जो process ताकु मध्य हम urbanization बोली कहि परिबा. So this is about the unit 1 that will likely to be complete by this. Any questions, any doubts, any misunderstanding may be asked for. Any question? Any doubts? Then perhaps our next episode is second block. That is sort of urban ecological process and theories. Urban ecological processes and theories. Urban ecological processes and theories. So how urban in Indian context, urban center, urbanization and urban growth. Urban growth, you know about urban growth. Then how in India, what is an urban? भारत रे एक शहर कहले आमे काहा को according to 1961 census or later 71 census also accepted. ए सही जनगणना अनुसार it says that a city, every municipality, NAC or whatever like that, they are also considered as a town or city. Then all civil lines that are included within municipal limits are also come under. And there are more 75% of its population must be engaged, more than 75% are engaged in non-agricultural activity. गोटे सहर 75% अधिक लोक यदि अणकृषि जनित कार्य नियोजित थे एक सहर द मिनिमम पॉपुलेशन है 5000 देयर मस्ट बी मिनिमम पॉपुलेशन ऑफ 5000 5000 मिनिमम पॉपुलेशन थे बट डेंसिटी ऑफ पॉपुलेशन मस्ट बी एटलीस्ट 400% पर स्क्वायर किलोमीटर आ गोटे क्राइटेरिया होती जे गोटे वर्ग किलोमीटर रे 400 लोक अधिक बास करते गोटे सहर बोली कहवा दैट इज वाज इंडियन डेफिनेशन ऑफ सिटीज इंडिया रे सेंसस अनुसार 61 1961 और 71 जनगणना अनुसार ये जो पैरामीटर्स फिक्स करा जायछि गोटेला समस्त प्रकार म्युनिसिपलिटी कॉर्पोरेशन कैंटोनमेंट बोर्ड एनएससी एगुडा को मध्य सहर रे जीवो एत व्यतीत आउ जो स्थान गुड रहला ताको गोटे मिनिमम पॉपुलेशन 5000 थिबे किंबा गोटे सहर समुदाय जनसंख्या 75 भाग जनसंख्या मिनिमम रु अधिक अणकृषि जनित कार्य नियोजित थे एवं डेंसिटी ऑफ पॉपुलेशन बा जनसंख्यार घनत्व बा सांद्रता सेठी 400 रु अधिक थिबो ताहाले ताको हम गोटे सहर बोली कहबा इट हला गोटे डिफरेंस बिटवीन ए टाउन एंड ए सिटी सिटी may be viewed in a larger perspective. City town dharu city ta dik bada ebong city ame kahu koche na people having more than 1 lakh population 1 lakh जनगणना से 71 जनगणना अनुसार जे 1 lakh लोक संख्या रु अधिक हले if the population exceeds more than 1 lakh we call it a city. If it is less than that above 5000 then we may call it a town along with all these other parameters जोड़ा 75 भाग रु अधिक लोक अणकृषि जनित कार्य थे स्क्वायर किलोमीटर 400 हिथिबो वर्ग किलोमीटर 400 अधिक बास करथिबे ताले हम ताको गोटे सिटी बोली पाई पारे so then another concept is there urban agglomeration कहले it refers to एटा प्रथम थर पई 1971 सेंसस रे कांसेप्ट यूज हला जोटा कि परवर्ती सेंसस रे मध्य व्यवहार तो हेची ए कंटीन्यूअस अर्बन स्प्रेड constituting a time and its adjoining urban outgrowth is known as a urban agglomeration. Urban agglomeration is defined as a continuous urban spread constituting a town and its adjoining urban areas or physically contiguous area. से को हमें अर्बन एग्लोमेरेशन बोले की कहता Then we come to the city and metropolis. City was the now you might have be clear about what do we mean by city. What is city? हमें साधारणतः पहले in defining city we refers to a face a numerous problem how we define a city because there is different people have different definitions of city or define city in different ways but however Mumford writes although the city as a form of human settlement date back to the beginning of civilization it long escaped scholarly scrutiny and its very definition still under debate. This Robert Mumford remarked about the meaning of city. The city, the concept of city has been associated with human civilization. Date back to the city city human settlement that has been date back to the beginning of human civilization. But in spite of that, the city meaning of city is still debatable. It has a different meaning to different persons. It varies from country to country. The meaning of city varies from country to country and from area to area. That's why it is said everybody seems to know what is city, but no one has given a satisfactory or well accepted definition of city. समस्ते जानिछन्ति सहर कोन कि सहर गोटे सर्वग्रहणीय संज्ञा दबा प्राय तो गोटे बहुत कष्टकर सो दैट्स व्हाई मम्पोर गिव ए succession of urban forms just like embryo to adult जेमती गोटे छोट छुआटी adult जो जाके जाए सेमती गोटे टाउन सिटी रो मध्ये गोटे ग्रोथ थाए जेमती हमें कहूजे टाउन सिटी योपोलिस मेट्रोपोलिस मेगापोलिस एमती सब डिफरेंट क्लासिफिकेशन हैज गिवन देचंती के रॉबर्ट मम्फोर्ड हैज गिवन just a classification or evolution of cities सेटा को हमें कहि परिबा that development and evolution of city रॉबर्ट मम्फोर्ड एटा प्रदान करिसेंती जोटा कि हमें कहि परिबा that योपोलिस पोलिस मेट्रोपोलिस मेगापोलिस कन्वर्बेशन तापरे नेक्रोपोलिस एंड द डिफरेंट फॉर्म रे हैज गिवन so city like many other sociological categories city is an abstraction city होची गोटे अमूर्त concept but the elements of which consist of city रो बा शहर रो केते गुडी उपादान हमें जाकु कहि परिबा गोटे रेसिडेंट्स थिबो गोटे सिटी रो गोटे स्ट्रक्चर थिबो गोटे शहर संरचना थिबो सिटी रो कोन थिबो ना मींस ऑफ ट्रांसपोर्टेशन गोटे सिटी निश्चित भाबे थिबो और डिफरेंट इंस्टॉलेशंस थिबो एंड सो ऑन these are the basic common elements road connectivity थिबो ए सब को हमें गोटे सिटी रो तेनु सिटी ता गोटे एब्स्ट्रैक्शन गोटे सोशियोलॉजिकल कैटेगरी हिसाब रे हम करिबा बा एज एन एब्स्ट्रैक्शन इट कंसिस्ट ऑफ दिस फॉलोइंग कैरेक्टर्स बा एलिमेंट्स तेनु सिटी ता को हमें डिफरेंट जेमति गोटे सिटी रो गोटे सार्वजनिक ग्रहणीय संज्ञा नाही किंतु हमें समस्त सिटी कहले कोन गोटे गोटे कहि परिबा किंतु सिटी टा को टू अंडरस्टैंड सिटी इन ए मोर सोशियोलॉजिकल सेंस वी कैन एनालाइज इट फ्रॉम डिफरेंट एंगल्स सिटी टा को हमें डिफरेंट एंगल लो बुझा जाई पारे गोटे होची लीगल एंगल आईनगत दृष्टिकोण को शहर कोन शहर होची फ्रॉम लीगल कंसीडरेशन city is defined as a legal term in many countries we define it as legal term normally city refers to a place which is made by a declaration called a charter. Any place can be made a city. Any place can be made a city by a declaration, that is by a charter which is granted by the higher authority of the state. गोटे स्टेट रो हायर अथॉरिटी यदि गोटे स्थान को शहर बोली घोषणा करले गोटे चार्टर द्वारा गोटे लीगल डॉक्यूमेंट द्वारा ताहले ताकु मध्ये हम गोटे शहर बोली कहि पारे दैट इज द लीगल डेफिनेशन ऑफ द टर्म एंड इन इंडिया द स्टेट गवर्नमेंट हैज द रिस्पांसिबिलिटी हम देश रे राज्य सरकारनकर दायित्व अछि जे से चाहिबे जे कोन एरिया को गोटे शहर बोली घोषणा करि पारिबे गोटे नोटिफाई करि पारिबे एटा गोटे टाउन हैला बा गोटे सिटी हैला हां एवं the basis of identification is differ. Identification of city differ from country to country, from state to state also. Then come the statistician basis. Now another quantitative term, quantitative criteria होची statistical बा परिसंख्यान दृष्टि हमें देख पाइबा गोटे परिसंख्यान दृष्टि मध्ये सिटी को डिफाइन करा जाई पारे ए स्टैटिस्टिकल डेफिनेशन अनुसार सिटी रेफर्स टू ए प्लेस हैविंग ए सर्टेन नंबर ऑफ पर्सन्स विल बी नोन एज ए सिटी गोटे निर्दिष्ट परिमाण जनसंख्या थिले गोटे स्थान रे निर्दिष्ट परिमाण जनसंख्या थाई हमें ताको गोटे शहर बोली कहि परिबा ऑफ कोर्स इट इज ट्रू दैट ए प्लेस डज नॉट बिकम ए सिटी बाय merely reaching that figure only गोटे खाली केते संख्या थिले लोक संख्या थिला हम गोटे शहर बोली कहि परिबा किंतु बेले बेले खाली गोटे संख्या गोटे जगह प्रेजेंट हेगले मध्ये हम शहर कहि परिबा नाही तबे जाऊ इंडिया रे हमरा गोटे क्वांटिटी टर्म रे इंडिया स्थिर कराई जे 5000 पॉपुलेशन थिले हम गोटे एरिया को गोटे जगह को हम शहर बोली कहि परिबा सिमिलरली अमेरिका रे मध्ये तंकर 2,500 बा 2500 पीपल जदी गोटे जगह रे होचंदी इनहैबिटेंट्स अछंती ताले ताको गोटे सिटी बोली डिक्लेयर करा जाई परिबो ए नंबर टा में वेरी फ्रॉम कंट्री डिफरेंट कंट्री दैट different. Just India 5,000, USA 2,500. Similarly, different countries statistical basis different. Then another criteria of identification is known as density of population. Who can classify or who can define city on the basis of density of population. India रे हमर को जाय छी 400 लोक थिले minimum आमे ता गोटे शहर बोली कहि परिया. You can say particular area as a city where if the more than 400 people are living per square kilometer. In different countries रे eta different है पारे. Another basis of defining a city is the occupation. Occupation तक मध्य हमें गोटे urban center को occupation को नहीं गोटे शहर को define कर परिया. Different occupational structure प्रत्येक शहर रो गोटे occupational structure थाए गोटे वृत्तिगत संरचना. In every city there is a वृत्तिगत संरचना एवं that वृत्तिगत से दृष्टि मध्य हमें देखो वृत्तिगत दृष्टि. The town a city रे गोटे निर्दिष्ट प्रकार वृत्ति गुरुत्व वृद्धि पाता है and that basis a city can be defined. Then the sociological definition is that a city is a place which has become so large that people no longer know each other. Sociologists Sombat call this as a sociological definition. Sombat कहउचंती एटा होची गोटे समाजतात्विक संज्ञा कार शहर. It is a sociological definition of city. So when people city होची गोटे place when people it becomes so large that people no longer know each other. एटा एते जेतेबेले गोटे जगह एते बढ़ी जाए जे लोक माने परस्पर को जानिबा संभव होय नताय सेही भली गोटे जगह को आमे शहर बोली कहि परिबा. That is considered as the according to Sombat that is considered as the sociological definition of city. Then besides there are another called as multiple criteria. Some people are become dissatisfied with the view that city, the definition of city is so complex and complicated that we can't understand it from any one criteria, either density or occupation or any other. You know, आपको multiple criteria को नहीं कि हमें city को define कर परिया. Multiple criteria, सब गुड़ा criteria इकट्ठे करके मतलब हमें city को define करेगा. अब कहते हैं sociologist कहते हैं market is also the basis of city, basis of defining city. बाजार को भित्ति करके हमें मतलब गोटे से शहर को define कर करो. When city is a settlement which is urban in nature and market is one of the basic feature where non-agricultural activities are going on. तेणु अणकृषिजनित कार्य नौथिबा एक बाजार भित्तिरे आमे मतलब शहर को डिफाइन करि परिबा. तेणु urban dwellers organize themselves on the basis of exchange of goods and services. Market kono na market hoji a place where goods and services are exchanged. So on that basis a city can also be defined. This is about the different what is the meaning, how we can consider the meaning of a city. Then city को हमें मतलब multiple criteria, all these criteria को come together से सब को इकट्ठी करी मतलब हमें city को define करी. You can define a city by taking all these criteria into considerations. Then we can consider the concept of metropolis. Metropolis. जब हमें कहते that Louis Mumford has given a evolutionary development of city from embryo to adulthood. So same basis रे he has given a clear-cut classification. जोड़ी से कहते जे प्रथम होची Iopolis, polis, metropolis, megapolis, tyrannopolis, necropolis, concubation. These are the different types of evolution of city from embryo to adulthood. So all these different kinds of cities भितरे हमें कहवा metropolis. What is metropolis? Metropolis is a popular term that we normally use. So metropolis basically the term metropolis has derived from two words, that is meter and polis. Polis. polis means city, and a meter means mother. So accordingly, metropolis means mother city. Mother city. That means that is a very oldest city. Is called as a metropolis, and on that basis, metropolis is reserved for a specific type of city. एक निर्दिष्ट बा स्वतंत्र प्रकार सहर को आम मेट्रोपोलिस बोली साधारणतः कहिथाउ एवं ताको आम केमती डिफाइन करू ना जोटा आम कहि परिबा गोटे कैपिटल ऑफ एन एम्पायर गोटे पुराना जो सब शब्द थिला तांकर कैपिटल बा राजधानी स्टेट किंगडम प्लेसेस फ्रॉम द इंपोर्टेंट प्लेसेस एगुड़ा को सब आम मेट्रोपोलिस बोली we can say these are called but nowadays in modern days major cities are called as metropolis. जब हमें कौन से दिल्ली बॉम्बे मुंबई कलकत्ता these are considered metropolis. So these modern cities thought to be as considered to be the metropolis. But metropolis, so in Indian way, there are different Indian ways of analyzing this metropolis. Is that Indian census divided the city having more than 10 lakh people or a million plus city is known as a metropolis. भारतीय जनगणना अनुसार 10 लाख रु अधिक व्यक्ति थिला किमा गोटे मिलियन प्लस सिटी को आमे मेट्रोपोलिस बोली कहते हैं. तेणु से अनुसार 2001 जनगणना अनुसार 35 मिलियन प्लस सिटीज अच्छी भारत रे जोटा को हम मेट्रोपोलिस बोली कहि परिया. किंतु later on Indian census has further divided these metropolis into 4 categories. भारतीय जनसंख्या बा जनगणना संस्था याकू 4 कैटेगरी विभक्त करी जो मेट्रोपोलिस की गोटे होची 10 लाख रु 20 लाख पर्यंत पॉपुलेशन गोटे 20 लाख रु 50 लाख पर्यंत पॉपुलेशन आ गोटे 50 लाख रु कोटिए पूर्व जाके पॉपुलेशन एवं कोटिए रु उभय एवं ए वाली 4टा कैटेगरी को डिवाइड करा जायछि गोटे मेट्रोपोलिस को एवं सेही बेसिस रे गोटे मेट्रोपोलिस definition करा जाए in the area. So this is how we can define a metropolis. Cities and metropolis. Any questions regarding all these that we have touched? Then now we will go this block 1, that is rural urban continuum. Rural urban continuum. So rural urban continuum, that urban the world can be generally divided into 2 types of human settlement. The total human world can be divided into 2 types of human settlement. One is rural, another is urban. So we just can't exactly, we can't give a borderline to from which rural area ends or village ends and towns or city begins. So that's why the development from rural to urban is not a watertight compartment, rather it is a process of continuum. You can just say here at this point that rural or village ends and urban begins from this. So there is a point where rural society, rural and urban, it is a period of growth. So that's why it is considered as a continuum. It is considered as a continuum. A variety of approach has been applied to determine the essential social characteristic of dynamics of this urban, rural-urban continuum. Rural-urban continuum, there are 2 or 3 approaches analysis of urban phenomena. How we can analyze this urban phenomena? In this historical approach, rural-urban continuum कहले आमे या बुझे बा ग्राम्य आ शहर धारावाहिकता. तेणु ग्राम गोटे जगह कोडू आरंभ होइछि एवं शहर कोडू ग्राम सरीछि एवं शहर आरंभ होइछि एमते निर्दिष्ट भाबे कहि परिबा नहीं वाटर टाइट कंपार्टमेंट भाबे हमें कहि परिबा नहीं जे एडी यहाँ सरिला एवं एउटू सहर आरंभ होला rather it is a process of continuum. So then that is considered as a rural urban continuum. You know that there is a very number of points from which you can distinguish rural and urban area. Rural to urban को हमें distinguish कर परिबा different basis रे. On the different basis you can distinguish rural to urban area. These are may be considered as different points of differences between rural and urban society. That may be environment, population, density of population, then another is pollution, unemployment, employment, all these naturality, artificiality, all these are the criteria on the basis of which you can distinguish a formal, informal structure. All these are the points from which you can distinguish between the rural and urban society. So on that basis, we say that rural and urban is a process of continuum. You know, there are different urban phenomena, approaches to study urban phenomena. There are 2-3 major approaches by which we can analyze or study urban phenomena. The first approach is the trade complex approach. Trade complex approach from which you can understand urban phenomena. The trade complex approach is empirical attributes in the quantitative traits are taken for analyzing differences like occupation, size, density, homogeneity, environment, etc. इस सब ग्राउंड रू हमें अर्बन फेनोमेनन को बेसिकली जो ट्रेड्स कहले द एलिमेंट्स मतलब हां जोटा कि हमें एनालाइज कर परिबा डिफरेंसेस बिटवीन लाइक ऑक्युपेशन, साइज, डेंसिटी, होमोजेनिटी एंड एनवायरनमेंट परिवेश. On that basis we can trade complex approach basis रे हमें distinguish कर परिबा from rural to urban. Then another is the ideal types. Ideal type approach. Ideal type कौन ना ideal types कहले बा आदर्श प्रकार. एटा आदर्श प्रकार बा ideal type होगी गोटे प्रकार mental construct अपन लिखियो. Ideal type is a mental construct of a researcher. It facilitates these ideal types are constructed. Weber has given this concept of ideal type, and these ideal types are constructed to facilitate the analysis of empirical questions. Analysis of empirical question, the empirical question को विश्लेषण करिया पई हमें जो मॉडल गठन करू जो ढांचा गठन करू ताको हम आइडियल टाइप्स बोली को. Weber is a key term. The ideal type is a key term in the Weber's methodological essays, and he used it as a device for understanding any historical problem or any historical configuration or any specific historical problem. जे कौन सी गोटे समस्या को ऐतिहासिक समस्या को आ गोटे एनी प्रॉब्लम को बुझिया पई परिवार आइडियल टाइप को गोटे डिवाइस भाबे यूज करथले. तेनो से आइडियल टाइप का को मध्यम गोटे आइडियल टाइप अप्रोच अछि. And these ideal types approach has divided 2 types. One is non-polar, other is polar. Non-polar approach, other is polar approach. The concept of ideal type has been applied to communities as it has been applied to the study of other social phenomena. जे कौन से social phenomenon को हमें approach करेगी हमें ताकू के study कर परिबा. This conceptual device is constructed proposition which designate the hypothetical characteristics of a pure or ideal type. Ideal type ताकू हमें बोले pure type गोटे विशुद्ध प्रकार बोली मध्य हमें कहि पर. As you this sense in terms of pure ideals having nothing to do with subjective evaluation of phenomena being studied. The technique of ideal type analysis is a form of comparative method. Ideal type का गोटे form of comparative method. एटा गोटे तुलनात्मक पद्धति. Ideal type को नहीं हमें गोटे तुलनात्मक पद्धति भाबे व्यवहार करि परिबा. Actual empirical instances are compared with the ideal type to see how closely they approximate the ideal type. गोटे एम्पिरिकल इंस्टेंस उदाहरण को नहीं आम तो कंपेयर करिया गोटे आइडियल टाइप सिचुएशन सहित केते क्लोजली सेटा अप्रोक्सीमेट होची से आइडियल टाइप सहित सेटा को हमें गोटे कंपेयर करी जानि परिबा तेणु दिस टाइप ऑफ अप्रोच इज नोन एज नॉन पोलर आइडियल टाइप अप्रोच नॉन पोलर आइडियल टाइप अप्रोच तेणु सेकंड अप्रोच होची दैट इज कॉल्ड एज the polar ideal type approach. The polar ideal type approach. This polar ideal type approach is basically help to study the rural urban continuum approach. एटा को हमें rural urban continuum approach बोली मतलब कहि पाइबा. Rural urban continuum polar approach किबा rural urban धारावाहिक approach कहि पाइबा. This is also known as a polar ideal type analysis. That means polar ideal type विश्लेषण बोली मतलब कहिबा which compares जहाकी empirical cases को जे two logical extremes. दुईटा लॉजिकल एक्सट्रीम भितरे एम्पिरिकल केस गुड़िकर दुईटी लॉजिकल एक्सट्रीम भितरे एटा कंपेयर करथाय दिस पोलर रूरल अर्बन कंटिन्यूम अप्रोच it generally assumes that there is a continuum between the two polar types along which empirical cases order themselves एटा दुईटा पोलर टाइप भितरे एटा गोटे कंटिन्यूम हिसाब रे अज्यूम करा जायता है तेणु कंटिन्यूम टा होची कोन कंटिन्यूम इज एन अनइंटरप्टेड सीरीज ऑफ ग्रेजुअल चेंजेस इन अ मैग्नीट्यूड ऑफ ए गिवन कैरेक्टरिस्टिक फॉर्मिंग ए linear increase or decrease through a series of gradual decrease तेणु कंटिन्यूम टा होची गोटे अनइंटरप्टेड बाधा विहीन गोटे सीरीज ऑफ ग्रेजुअल चेंज गोटे क्रम परिवर्तन जो सीरीज अनइंटरप्टेड कोड बाधाग्रस्त होतिबो सेई बोले गोटे सीरीज को हमें कंटिन्यूम बा धारावाहिकता बोली ओडिया रे कहले धारावाहिकता बोली कहि परबा तेनु रूरल अर्बन ग्रोथ गुडे कंटिन्यूम हिसाब रे हम विचार करा जाई पारे सो रूरल अर्बन कम्युनिटीज कैन नॉट बी प्लेस्ड इन वाटर टाइट कंपार्टमेंट जोटा हम पूर्व कहतली जे रूरल अर्बन कम्युनिटी टा को हमें गोटे वाटर टाइट कंपार्टमेंटल हिसाब रे नै परिबा नै रादर इट इज ए गोटे ग्रेजुअल डेवलपमेंट बेसिस रे हम ताको देखि परिबा so there is a continuity between the two ग्राम और शहर भितर गोटे कंटिन्यूटी अच्छी there is a continuity between the two the rural and urban there is a continuity you can understand it from a continuity as a continuum sense there is a continuity अच्छी from rural to urban as a community moves from the fog to the urban end of the continuum there occurs a shift form तेणु गोटे कम्युनिटी प्रथम मोर गोटे फग फग कहले गोटे ग्रुप रु एटा गोटे अर्बन को गोटे रूरल ग्रुप रु गोटे अर्बन को जेते शिफ्ट करे सेटा गोटे जेमति फॉर एग्जांपल यू कैन से टेक दिस सिटी ऑफ राउरकेला सो राउरकेला वाज ए जस्ट ए विलेज कम्युनिटी but rather it moves from a fog community it moves to an urban community and where the continuum ends so seti gote shift asuchi there is a change so that shows an example of a rural urban continuum so this is your shift asuchi koda asuchi from cultural intimacy and organization to disorganization from organization thila to disorganization there is a shift going asuchi about a collective or community orientation to individualization a shift asuchi community orientation to individual orientation ko asuchi ba individualization ko asuchi ba sacred to secular so there is a shift of continuum so it is the end of the continuum right there is a shift about so that's why Redfield speculation about what is saw as the significant changes from the fog to the urban end of the continuum are based on studies conducted गोटे यक्टाना सिटी रे जोडी 1930 रे मेरिडा टाउन ऑफ विजिटर्स of Maya presents a village Sancom, the tribal hamlet of Tusikre. गोटे स्टडी करके से जो रेडफील्ड स्टडी करथिले सेठी से this given this conception of this Then Robert Redfield's Fuck Society. Robert Redfield's Fuck Society. So Robert Redfield's Fuck Society is basically a Fuck Society is a small isolated Robert Redfield. Ideal type he has given an example of a Fuck Society, which is a polar opposite of the urban society. Just opposite of the urban society, the Fuck Society, that is the village group. This is a mental count. No known society precisely correspond to it. The Fuck Society is it is a small, isolated, non-literate, ଗୋଟେ ଛୋଟ ଏକାକୀ ବା ଅଣଶିକ୍ଷିତ ଏବଂ ହୋମୋଜିନସ୍ ଗ୍ରୁପ ଯୋଉଟାକି ଗୋଟେ ଗ୍ରୁପ ସଲିଡାରିଟି ବା ସମୂହ ଏକତାଟା ଅତି ଦୃଢ ଥାଏ ସେଭଳି ଗୋଟେ ଗ୍ରୁପକୁ ଆମେ ଫକ୍ ଗ୍ରୁପ ବୋଲିକି କହିଥାଉ କି ରେଡଫିଲ୍ଡ କହୁଛନ୍ତି ସେଭଳି ଗୋଟେ ଗ୍ରୁପକୁ ସେ ଫକ୍ ସୋସାଇଟି ଫକ୍ ଗ୍ରୁପ ବୋଲି ବା ଫକ୍ ସୋସାଇଟି ବୋଲି କହୁଛନ୍ତି The ways of living are conventionalized ଏବଂ ସେଠି ट्रेडिशनल ବା ପାରମ୍ପରିକ ଜୀବନ ଶୈଳୀ ରହିଥିବ ଏବଂ they have a follow a culture and their behavior is traditional, spontaneous, uncritical and personal. Behavior of these folk peoples are traditional, spontaneous, uncritical. ତେଣୁ ଏଇ ଯୋଉ ଫକ୍ ସୋସାଇଟିର ହଉଛି ଗୋଟେ କ୍ଷୁଦ୍ର ଏକାକୀ ଅଣଶିକ୍ଷିତ ବା ସମାନ ହୋମୋଜିନସ୍ ବା ସିମିଲାର ସମୂହ ଏବଂ ସେମାନଙ୍କର ଏକ ନିର୍ଦ୍ଦିଷ୍ଟ ପ୍ରକାର ସଂସ୍କୃତି ଥାଏ which is ପାରମ୍ପରିକ ସଂସ୍କୃତି spontaneous uncritical these are the prevalence of the characteristics of a folk society ତେଣୁ ଯୋଉ folk society ଆଉ urban society folk concept and urban conceptualization there is a change from primary stage of the folk society to the extreme of the continuum ର extreme sense को जोटा कि जाउची हमरा what is called as this urban center the city ये जो typology folk urban classification given by Robert Redfield that shows the characteristics on this rural urban continuum it is basically based on a notion that human settlements are moves from the rural to urban and these two types of settlements human settlements are polar opposite to each other and these are is a continuum is a continuity is going on between the rural to urban it is a continuity there is not an abrupt end coming to the abrupt end to the hoini that is a continuum so rural to urban it is a process of growth it is a process of growth from rural to urban so that's why it is considered as a continuum it is considered as a continuum then any questions on rural urban continuum any questions any doubts if any then Another concept is urbanization, that is urban, the subject matter of urban sociology. Then urban sociology and its relationship with other social sciences that we have briefly discussed. Let us explain it in more detail. The relationship between urban sociology and other social sciences. So urban sociology as a branch of sociology has its relationship with urban sociology has close relationship with other social sciences. Let us first discuss about the relationship of sociology with the urban sociology with economics. So economics, normally you must know what is economics and what is urban sociology. Urban sociology we have analyzed that urban sociology studies the urban social structure, urban social phenomena, urban social relationship, urban social change, urban social problems. ये सबको urban sociology अध्ययन करें. Besides economics as a science, it is concerned with it is science of wealth or a science of choice. Science of choice. So economics has a close relationship with urban sociology because urban sociology was first being studied by geographers, economists, statisticians. So that's why economics has a greater contribution to urban sociology, the development of urban sociology. So urban sociology has a different economic aspect. The different urban social problems are also being can be understood or can be solved with the help of economics. Or urban sociology requires the help of economics to solve the economic problem of urban areas. So that's why urban sociology needs the help of urban sociology, economics. Similarly, economics also helps the needs of urban sociology because urban society to analyze the urban to know the urban social structure, to know the urban social problems, economics requires the help of urban sociology. So there is a close relationship between urban sociology and economics. Economics, with the help of economics, urban social planning, urban while making urban planning, urban sociology requires the help of economics. But making plan for the plan, making budget, while making taxation on the people in a municipality or in a city or making taxation, they require the help of economics. What types of taxes that will be imposed? All these. So that's why there is a close relationship between economics and urban sociology. Then we will discuss about the relationship between sociology, urban sociology, and history. Urban sociology and history. So urban sociology and history, there is also a close relationship between urban sociology and history because the two important scholars like Arnold Toynbee and Spengler, they have analyzed urban sociology as in its historical angles. So that's why they are analyzing while saying that history to know an urban society, it is necessary to understand its the history of urban society. So that's why historical category is necessary to know, to understand the historical aspect of a city, to know a city. So that's why the urban sociology requires the help of history to know its origin and development. And there are many historical cities. There is many historical cities like Mohenjo-daro, the traditional cities in Greece civilization, Indus Valley civilization, many other old cities. So urban sociology learns many things from this, depends on history to get knowledge about the traditional urban town planning that was in traditional cities or historical cities. So that's why there is a relationship between history and sociology, urban sociology. Urban sociology takes the help of history to know the traditional cities, to study, analyze, and to know the pattern of urban problems that they facing during that the traditional cities are facing and how they dealt with these. Or to know all these, urban sociology have to depend on history. So history also take the help of urban sociology to know the present urban social structure, social uh, events, all these to know. So there is a close relationship between history और urban sociology. इतिहास और सौर समाज विज्ञान भितर संपर्क अति निबिड़ एवं घनिष्ठ काहेकि उभय परस्पर both are depend on each other. History depend on urban sociology and urban sociology also depend on history. So because of this mutual dependency, there also depends a very close relationship between history and urban sociology. Besides, there is another, you can say, the relationship between sociology, urban sociology, and political science, urban sociology and political science. And so political science is science of state and government, the science of state and government. So urban sociology, urban sociology studies the social structure and organizations of the urban social life and all those urban social problems, urban social changes, and all these. So how political so urban sociology is related to political science is that they both are depend on each other. Urban sociology depend on political science, and political science also depend on urban sociology. So the type of administration that is an urban society, urban social structure, or in a city, what are the political structure, what is the political administration that will be in a city. ଗୋଟେ ସହରରେ କି ପ୍ରକାର ସଂରଚନା ରାଜନୈତିକ ସଂରଚନା ରହିବ ବା କି ପ୍ରକାର ପ୍ରଶାସନିକ ସଂରଚନା ରହିବ, how to administer a city. City administration now has become a very debatable topic. The population are increasing rampantly in cities, so that's why the city administration, how to administer a city, is now an important. So that's why urban sociology must have to depend on political science to give a suitable administrative structure. All these that is the municipality, the municipal elections, the municipal administrative structure, all these are close to urban sociology, have to depend on political science disciplines. ये सबको जाने पाई urban sociology राजनीति विज्ञान का मतलब साध्य होगा. That's why there is a close relationship between urban sociology and uh, political science. There's a close relationship between political science. So then geography. So geography, there is a close relationship between geography and urban sociology, because we know that the geographers, in the initial stage, geographers play an important role in the development of urban sociology. So geography, because urban sociology studies the urban centers. So urban centers refers to a place, which is a place geographical area. So city refers to a geographical area. So every city has its own geographical area, geographical situation, geographical conditionings, geographical climate, and all these. So that's why geography and the city, the economy of a city are being greatly influenced by geographical situation or geographical conditionings. So that's why geography greatly influences urban sociology. Urban sociology. So that's why there is a close relationship between geography and uh, urban sociology, because urban sociology analyzes the geographical conditions in a particular city. So the city the concurrent geographical situation, concurrent geographical problems that it is facing. So what type of basically, as you know, that a city on the when a city is situated a peculiar geographical situation like a sea, near sea based city, it has its own problems like the different kind of problems and different sources of income also attached with the geographical situations. The employment that is available in a particular city is also closely associated with the geography, geographical conditioning of a city. There is a close relationship. यार पूर्ति को डिसाइड करिवारे यार प्रॉब्लम्स को क्रिएट करिवारे ये सब गुडा तर जियोग्राफी मध्ये हाते क्लोज रिलेशन्स तार गोटे संपर्क अछि. So that's why तेणु जियोग्राफी सह मध्ये अर्बन सोशियोलॉजी रा संपर्क जड़. So these are the different ways by which you can analyze the urban sociology, how it is related with all other social sciences. The consumption, production, consumption, uh, is of the that also depend on geographical condition. The production, the city can produce in particular city geographical condition, the uh, nature of industry that will be installed in a particular city. That is all decided by the geographical conditioning of a city. So that's why geography has urban sociology has to depend on the geography, geographical conditioning of a city. So there is a close relationship between geography and urban sociology. Then we can go about the urbanization. Urbanization, uh, urbanization refers to a process of being and becoming urban. Urbanization refers to a process of becoming urban. It is a urbanization in India. Urbanization is a long tradition. In the traditional and Indus Valley civilization, 2500 BC, we have a long history of urbanization. India has a long history of urbanization. So urbanization merely refers to a process of being and becoming urban. शहरी हबार एक प्रक्रिया को हमें शहरीकरण और urbanization पहले हमें expansion of cities, expansion of cities, expansion of city बा शहर रो प्रसारण को संप्रसारण को मध्य हमें शहरीकरण बोली कहते एवं expansion of city life शहरी जीवन शैली रो व्यापकता को मध्य हमें शहरीकरण बोली कहते. So further expansion of number of industries, installation of more and more industries को मध्य में शहरीकरण बोली करेगा एवं शहरी जीवन शैली शहरी लाइफस्टाइल को संप्रसारण को मध्य में शहरीकरण बोली करेगा. So urbanization is a process of being and becoming urban. Expansion of cities from rural to शहर को migration तक मध्य हमें can say that is a urbanization process by which more people from rural society are pulled to urban areas to satisfy or to fulfill their own needs and necessities. So that is what is known as urbanization. So urbanization शहरीकरण होची एक व्यापक प्रक्रिया जाकि शहर संप्रसारण को शहर संप्रसारण बा शहरी जीवन शैली व्यापकता को ग्रहण कर संप्रसारण को मध्य हमें शहरीकरण कहते. So urbanization, there are different causes of urbanization. How that urbanization can be caused? Employment, more employment opportunity in cities that leads to pull people from rural areas to urban centers. ଲୋକମାନଙ୍କୁ ଗ୍ରାମାଞ୍ଚଳରୁ ସହରକୁ ଆଣିବାକୁ ବା ଟାଣିବାରେ ଯୋଉ ପୁsh-pull ଫ୍ୟାକ୍ଟର କାମ କରେ, ଏକରେ ଗ୍ରାମରେ ଅନଏମ୍ପ୍ଲୟମେଣ୍ଟ ତାହା ପୁଲ୍ କରେ ଗ୍ରାମ ଲୋକମାନଙ୍କୁ ସହରକୁ, ଏବଂ ସହରରେ ଏମ୍ପ୍ଲୟମେଣ୍ଟର ନିଯୁକ୍ତିର पर्याप्त सुजोग ताहा लोकमानकु टाणे। ए जो पुश-पुल फैक्टर इज आल्सो वन ऑफ द मेजर कॉज ऑफ अर्बनाइजेशन। सेति शहरीकरण लोकमाने गाँरु लोकमानकु आसंतु एवं शहरीकरण बढ़े। बिसाइड्स शहरीकरणर आ गोटे होची कॉज होची दे इंक्रीजिंग पॉपुलेशन, जनसंख्या वृद्धि हेले शहरीकरण मध्य बढ़े। मोर एंड मोर इंडस्ट्री नुआ नुआ शिल्प प्रतिष्ठा हो एवं नुआ शिल्प जो प्रतिष्ठा हो सेठी पुणी सहर गढ़ी उठिबो एवं पुणी सेठी सहर गढ़ी एवं नुआ नुआ वृत्ति सृष्टि हो। न्यू ऑक्युपेशंस ड्यू टू न्यू सेटलमेंट इंडस्ट्री इंस्टॉलेशन ऑफ इंडस्ट्री नुआ ऑक्युपेशन सृष्टि हो एवं नुआ ऑक्युपेशन सृष्टि हेले पुणी गाँर लोक मान पुट करिवो एवं सहर जनसंख्या वृद्धि हो एवं जनसंख्या वृद्धि से तार देई शहरीकरण मध्य वृद्धि पाइबो। बिसाइड्स आउ को शहरीकरण आउ गोटे प्रमुख कारण होची जे changing attitudes of people. Now lokomanantar gote change hechi will shift, if our income grows will shift to cities. Amara jahar income badila ame shahar ko shift kari. Ei jo attitudes of living in cities and all amenities are available in cities, seta madhya gote factor jaha ki organization me sorry kanara prasar re sahajya. Another cause hochi that lack of facilities in rural areas. ग्राम्यांचल गाँव द गवर्नमेंट व्हेन पेइंग नो हिट टू द रूरल एरिया, गाँव में सब प्रकार असुविधा, एम्प्लॉयमेंट नहीं, शिक्षा नहीं, स्वास्थ्य नहीं, ये जो अभाव सब रही गाँव में से अभावटा जो गाँव लोक मैंने बेसी पड़े सहर को, तेणु ताहा शहरीकरण गोटे कारण जो शहरीकरण प्रसार प्रसार। देन अर्बनाइजेशन, द कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस ऑफ अर्बनाइजेशन. Urbanization has several consequences. Urbanization as a process, it has led to different kinds of consequences. It leads to crime. Crime, the aparadh, the increase of crime is also one of the important consequences of crime. Consequence of urbanization. Sorry, kono gote parapol hochi, result hochi ye aparadh brodhi paebo. सहर में जैसे जनसंख्या वृद्धि होती से हिसाब से बस्ती अंचल, the slums, growth of slums also leads to increase of crimes in society. Then another consequence of urbanization is pollution. Pollution is another important consequence of urbanization. Pollution leads to different kinds of health hazards. So pollution due to a high concentration of population, pollution hochi, another more use of vehicles, so pollution hochi, that also creates health hazards. Another pollution, more industries, that also creates pollution in urban areas. So pollution is another consequences of urban. Then another consequence of urbanization is increasing dependency culture. Urban society can produce itself. It has to depend on the rural society to fulfill its own needs. That seta madhya gote dependency culture it create to depend on the rural society. Even consumption pattern, it is a high consumption pattern is increased. That is also another consequence of urbanization. So then urban problems, different kinds of urban problems are also affecting the process of urbanization. To urbanization by शहरीकरण प्रक्रिया रे अनेक गुडे समस्या मिले. Urban problems, equally are urban problems like health problems, the problems of housing, problem of health problems, housing problems. then problems of roads and communication. The roads became very jam. The traffic jam is also another problems of this organization. So these are the certain problems that organization resulted in society. So then, any questions, any doubts with all these? That is about the block 1. Any questions, any doubts, any misunderstandings? Please ask.
Excuse me, sir.
Sir,
सर जनसंख्या वृद्धि हेले आमे शहरीकरण करू सहर रे जेबे जनसंख्या वृद्धि हो सेठी पुणी कोन करा जीवो
सहर जनसंख्या हेले सहर एक्सपांशन होची आउटग्रोथ होची सहर पेरिफेरी जो एग्लोमरेशन अर्बन एग्लोमरेशन सहर रो वृद्धि होनी एक्सपांशन होची ताको कंट्रोल करिया हेले ताको कंट्रोल करिया गले हमको रूरल एरिया को डेवलप करिया पड़िबो सो दैट हमको रूरल जो अर्बन माइग्रेशन होची ताको हमें बंद करि पारले अर्बन पॉपुलेशन को हमें चेक करि परिबा
ठीक है सर थैंक यू
एनी अदर क्वेश्चन you clear about the meaning of urban sociology? So rural urban continuum, then rural urban differences we have already analyzed. The rural और urban society the difference कौन points सब we have already analyzed. एक रे गुटे अलग economy, then size, difference in size, difference in population, difference in density of population. Rural area re density is less, urban density is high. Naturality, how artificiality. Rural area is a natural atmosphere, natural lifestyle. In the urban area is a artificiality. Then population size is less in rural areas, high in urban areas. Then parivesh, environment, seti polluted environment in urban area re seti natural environment or free better environment. And employment rural area re is exclusively on agriculture based. It is industry and service based employment available. Employment opportunities more in urban area is less in rural area. Then educational facilities available in urban areas, it is lacking in rural areas. Then communication, road transport and communication system is better rural area, it is lack in urban area, it is better available in urban areas. Then the urban areas way there is interaction among people is there is a community sentiment in rural areas but which is lacking in urban areas. The people do not know even their neighbors. So the relationship is personal in rural areas but the relationship is in urban areas is impersonal. Then health facilities in rural areas is already absent in rural area. In urban area, it is available, widely available. Then rural area, which is urban area, conspicuous consumption is more, but rural area it is based on need-based consumption. But it is conspicuous consumption. That is also difference. So these are the differences between. We have already read the continuum as well as the differences. Both can be understood, help in understanding rural and urban society in a better. Any other questions? Any other question? Harapriya, any other question? Prahlad?
No, sir.
No. Any other question? No, thanks. Sandhya, any other question? Lipika, any other question? Kanon, any other question?
Yes, sir.
Uh, Ask.
How many? You are saying there are 4 metropolises. What are they?
Metropolis in India.
Yes.
Metropolis, Geopolis, polis, metropolis, megapolis, necropolis. These are the development of cities from embryo to adulthood.
Megapolis and again?
Megapolis for a necropolis.
Yes, sir. Okay.
These are the development of city. City, town, city, police. This classification has been given by Louis Mumford, a sociologist named Louis Mumford, who has given this classification.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any other question, please?
Dear learners, I have one question to you, all of you. Why your students are not joining for a class? You don't want a class? जदि तमे क्लास चाहो ना, मैं क्लास बंद कर देबू। है जे 2-4-5 बेला में कहीं क्लास करियो? क्या तमर किसी सजेशन यदि को टाइमिंग चेंज चाहूछ?
Actually, sir, time problem. This time is for our launch time. That is the
को
main
टाइम
problem.
कन्वीनियंट, को टाइमिंग ना कन्वीनियंट.
All students, if you say, no problem.
नहीं सुनो, मोर कहबार अर्थ हला यदि पिला जॉइन न करे में क्लास रो मीनिंग कोन? तम मन को टाइमिंग रो सुटेबल को
क्लास पाई प्रॉब्लम किसी नहीं, गोटे प्रॉब्लम होची केवल टाइम टा. एक्चुअली आम माने फैमिली रे अछु ना, हमर लॉस टाइम टा रहि जाउची सेते बेले. सेते पे हमें जॉइन करछु बट लेट रे.
नहीं सुनो, को टाइमिंग जदि समस्त तमरो जो ग्रुप रे अछो, तमे ग्रुप रे मते को करना, it's not suitable to this time, we want this time. को टाइमिंग को हमें टाइमिंग चेंज कर देबा.
So give a suggestion.
Actually मोर से गोटे संध्या
सर प्रफुल्ल सर 5टा बेले कर दो. 5टा बेले इज कन्वीनियंट ऑल ऑफ यू.
Sir, करंतु
नहीं पिले तमने 5टा बेले सुविधा होगी.
सर 5टा नहीं, आप लोग 3टा हां 3टा 5टा तो हम लोग आबिले
केतरे रे
3टा
5टा
आगे
ठीक है. 3टा 5टा कर दो.
ओके अन्य वाले पुनी कोन कहबे हम मन हेलो
ए 233 is not a big issue, you can make it 3. ओके तो ठीक अछि. काली तो 230 रहिबो. हम माने डिस्कशन करी कि मते ग्रुप रे पठा. You send a WhatsApp. Okay. So if everybody say whatever the time comfortable, you can change time, not the issue.
So dear learners, you have any complaint about timing? Please mention the group on individual basis.
हेलो
Then sir will decide.
हेलो
सर इको होची सुपर कथा पूरा बोले.
तमे मानकर टाइम डिसाइड करो, सब पिला तो कथा हो. जदि एवरीवन विल से यू शुड change the time, I don't any problem to change the time. Okay, so
सर आई थिंक ए टाइम ता अधिकांश पिला को सूट करियो सर.
ତାହେଲେ ଠିକ
କୋଉଟା?
ଅଛି।
ୟା ପୂର୍ବରୁ ବି ସାର୍ ମୁଁ ଗୋଟେ ଟାଇମିଂ କରିଥିଲି ରାତି 8 ରୁ 10 ଆଉ ସେତେବେଳେ ବହୁତ ପିଲା ମନା
2:30 is correct. Okay, fine. चलो then. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
हेलो हेलो सर सुना जाଉଛି କି?
हेलो
हेलो सर can you hear me?